Hi, everyone. I am Andy. I am the lead for the developers team here at TFH. So all things SDKs. If you're building on World, probably something that we made. But today we're going to focus specifically on mini apps, which of course is our exciting new launch, and kind of first give you a little bit of some motivations behind it, and then talk through kind of each of the commands that we made and why we made the decisions that we made. And so first and foremost, if you guys are familiar with the ecosystem, World has a lot of products within it. So of course we have World App, which for a lot of our users is their first and only touch point into Web3. So it's a self-custodial wallet. It's a Gnosis safe, and then additionally also is the way to self-custody your private keys for your identity. We have Worldchain, which I kind of used to encompass all of the crypto aspects, which obviously includes grants, the token, the chain itself that we recently launched, and of course World ID, which covers our unique Sybil resistance proof of humanity, and of course that is done in a privacy preserving way. And so if anyone has built on the ecosystem previously, the only way you could really interact with it was via World ID. So we had an ID Kit SDK, and you could build applications that essentially allowed you to do proof of uniqueness. Now, it was super cool, and we had a lot of developers build interesting things, a lot of kind of cool little demos and MVP trials out in the wild. And so some categorical things that you see here are what we saw. But one piece of feedback that we kept getting time and time again from developers was that World obviously has a lot of very powerful products, but how can you actually leverage the rest of these? And so each of these pieces independently is incredibly powerful. But the cool thing about mini apps is that for the first time ever, you can combine all three aspects of the World ecosystem and create something incredibly powerful. So what this means is for World ID, there's a lot better experience in terms of using it. There's additionally more credentials that we're adding and ways to kind of empower your app as a developer. It's a lot easier to develop as well, and so you can get these things up and running much faster. You can also leverage Worldchain now. So for the first time ever, write to smart contracts, which is going to be very exciting to all you Web3 devs. Additionally, accessing wallet balances, the tokens inside there, including, of course, the money given by grants. And last but not least, World App. And so World App is the distribution engine for our entire ecosystem. We have, tons of users onboarding every single week. Leighton showed you the chart. We have a bunch of users who are using crypto for their very first time. In fact, most of these people probably have no idea that they're actually using crypto. They see this app and, there's some money in it. It just seems like a normal wallet. And so combining all these three things together, we kind of get some very interesting use cases, and I think a lot of power for developers. And just to kind of harp on that point a little more, obviously you saw this in Leighton's presentation, but the distribution is massive. So, I mean, if you're a developer, a consumer developer yourself, right? Like one of the biggest pain points you have is trying to find ways to get people to use your app, right? Like, I mean, it sucks. Like you spend a bunch of time thinking about what you're trying to build, and then you have to spend a bunch of time, shilling on Twitter and like doing all these like weird things that otherwise distract you from building your product. And that sucks, honestly. I've gone through that before as well myself. And so World basically abstracts that away for you, right? I mean, we're onboarding new users every single day. Fundamentally, your customer acquisition cost is being subsidized by us, right? We're spending all the effort marketing, getting people to join, and these users come back at a very high frequency because of the grants, right? We have high 90% retention rates, and so they literally come into the app and are looking for things to do. And so discovery of your mini apps is actually kind of a very embedded and native flow. And so to dive a little bit deeper into what mini apps actually are, I mean, very, very simply, they're web experiences built natively inside of World App. And so one thing that is very, very important is that your mini apps are actually very prominently featured. And so discovery is something that we actually actively try to promote here. So what that means is that your efforts are actually the same thing that we're prioritizing. You build an app, like this is the screen that people see when they first come in the app. And so we care a lot about, obviously sharing our distribution with you. And on top of that, building a mini app is incredibly easy. So essentially they're web views. And so they're web pages, natively baked inside a World app. And so you build a website as you normally would, mobile optimized, of course. And the MiniKit SDK actually then supercharges your application and gives it a lot of functionality that we have in the wallet to essentially turn your app from just a regular web app to a World mini app. And so in terms of functionality, there's a lot of interesting commands. So of course we have World ID verifications. We have payments for the first time. We have the ability to send transactions. But on top of that, we also have the ability to kind of share a lot of like critical consumer social functions with you. And so what that means is that, we will have the ability to share contacts. So users can share, their phone, their like phone network with you, essentially, obviously in a privacy preserving way. We'll use usernames, as well as the ability to send notifications. And so you can get users to come back to your applications on a frequent basis, and all of the toolkits, or essentially all the tools you need to build a successful app. So today I actually want to go through what I think are the three most important commands in themselves. And these are kind of the pieces I think you should use to begin fueling your brainstorm and thinking about what you want to build. And so the first one is obviously a differentiated verification flow with World ID. And so World ID, very simply, is a Sybil-resistant, anonymous authentication flow for your applications. And so you see cool things like Oro, where they can protect an airdrop and allow users to only claim it once a day. Now, the reason this is super cool in Mini Apps is that the flow is a lot better. So if you guys have tried like a World ID application previously with ID Kit, the flow is a little bit clunky at times, where you scan a QR code, you go to your phone confirms it, you go back to the application, and like obviously users don't want to do that. People get lost in the flow, and it gets confusing. But in Mini Apps, everything is much cleaner. So the actual proof process simply just looks like an Apple Pay modal. Something pops up, you confirm it, it generates a proof, sends it back to your application, and you verify it, and you're done. So that process has become a lot cleaner. And if you want to see it in action, almost all of the or both ClipJuice and Oro that you saw today use that command. The other aspect is seamless payments. And so I think it's no secret there's a lot of money in World App. Users are getting money every single month. They're getting grants, and there's nothing really to do with the money yet. And so users want to spend, and developers have been asking, how can I actually access this? Because of course, monetizing your application is a big thing, right? Like we give you distribution, but at the end of the day, you need to monetize your product too. And so we have users who have the ability to pay, and for the first time ever, you can do simple ERC20 transfers, and to users it looks, once again, just like a very simple modal to use. And so to kind of show you the magnitude of what World App has, of course, we have $150 million of assets stored in the app at any given time, and you pick a week, we'll have between $15 to $50 million of total spend. And so for a lot of you developers, you have distribution. We're subsidizing your customer acquisition costs. These users are willing to pay. It's almost a no-brainer to actually go build on the ecosystem. But it gets even better because, of course, we have Web3 transactions. And so I want to kind of talk through how we thought about Web3 transactions and why it's a little bit different. And so John earlier mentioned that we had, kind of a UX upgrade to how we're doing these transactions. And the reason for that is that almost all of our users have probably never touched crypto in their lives. Like these people, onboarded to our platform, they have their World ID, they have the app, and probably don't even know that they have a wallet. And so to them, like all of the kind of UX patterns that we originally ossified would not make any sense, right? Like, you approve something, you then send money, you're like connecting your wallet, like they have no idea what that means. And so we really thought that this was an opportunity for us to kind of make some, bold assumptions and claims in terms of improving crypto UX. And so the first big one that we do is permit to. And the reason we do that is because we want to use a push model instead of a pull model. If you think about the traditional approve flow, it doesn't make any sense, right? Like think about you're just a user who's never used crypto before. Some modal pops up that says you approve for $20, and you're like, okay, $20. And then you click okay. And then another modal pops up saying $20 again, and now you're sending $20. And that doesn't make any sense to you as a user, right? And now you're clicking two modals, and sometimes you're doing infinite approves for these things, and like you have some simulation that says like $9 trillion or something is like on there, and these people have no idea what is going on. And so we got rid of that. Additionally, it doesn't make any sense that if you approve money, randomly money just like leaves your wallet an hour later, right? Like there's no similar flow for these people. And so that would also not make any sense. And so with permit to, we can have a really nice UX where you're essentially just generating the signature, you're requesting exactly how much you need, and then you're sending that. And so all users see is just a simple modal, and there's one that they confirm, and it looks very, very synonymous to what you'd expect in Web 2. The other aspect is moving away from kind of the Connect wallet terminology that we use. So once again, a lot of these users, don't know what that is, and connecting your wallet is just not something they've seen. So we moved to sign in, which is a lot more familiar. And the last one is, of course, gas fees are covered. So, no one wants to be calculating gas fees. No one wants to be, thinking about why am I paying, X dollars for a transaction. Of course, we've kind of hammered on this point a lot. With World ID, we can make a lot of kind of cool little features to improve this whole flow. And so gas fees are entirely covered. And so I encourage you to kind of not just take what we've kind of made assumptions about, but also think about ways in which you think crypto UX could be changed, and make those kind of improvements in your apps as well, right? We all know within the community, we spend a lot of time talking about how things are difficult to use, it's hard to onboard the masses, and so I think at this point, you have a distribution segment that has never touched crypto before. Probably there's no other way to access this group, and so a lot of kind of big changes to crypto UX can happen inside of World App mini apps. Cool. So that's a quick overview of what that looks like. Obviously, we're going to have hacking afterwards for a couple hours. Yes, I will answer your questions. But very quickly, the docs are here. So if you want to get started, just go to docs.world.org. There's a mini app section. You can follow that. You can install your SDK. It explains the entire process. Additionally, if you have issues with transaction simulations, we are quite responsive to you in Telegram, etc. So we'll get that fixed for you. And then last but not least, of course, join our Telegram. Cool. That's it. Thank you.